You're tuned in to the Foxboro BeatCast, a podcast for Patriots fans by Patriots fans. And here are your hosts, is Kaleb McChesney and Ryan Moore.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Foxboro BeatCast. I'm your host, Kaleb McChesney. Alongside me is, once again, not Ryan Moore. It is Jay Rich. John coming back again for once another episode. John, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for bringing me back.
Right, again, another episode that stems from a pretty hostile conversation talking about NFL coaches. So we'll go over that at some point. Wait, are we kicking off the show with that? Yes, we are. We are kicking off the show with coaching hires. Both of our teams came out with new coaches, so we'll talk about that. The Patriots coaching staff just finished up, but we'll pause coverage on that until next week when Ryan comes on and we can dig all of that out. But we're going to talk about the coaching staff. We're going to give our NFL awards because, unfortunately, I did not realize that they dropped tonight. So you're going to get our takes of it, and we won't know who actually won it. Maybe we will by the time the show's over. It'll be pretty close to 9 o'clock, and those will leak out throughout the night, I assume. So we'll do that, and then we'll talk about the Super Bowl on Sunday. So it's going to be a fun show, but I think the biggest block is going to be this first one where we get the most conversation out of it. So let's just dive right into it. The NFL coaching hires are, I'd say, 99% done. We're still waiting on the Saints to announce who they're going to hire, but I think everybody assumes that's going to be Kellen Moore at this point. Eagles offensive coordinator. Not a ton of buzz around that Saints job. They told Mike McCarthy to go away after an interview. They missed out on all their other candidates. Aaron Glenn, who I thought was going to get that job from the start. He went to the Jets. So looks like they kind of just got caught hanging, and they're going to go and take Kellen Moore, I would assume. But all right, now that one's out of the way, let's talk about the actual ones that are on the list. How do you feel about Brian Schottenheimer, the Cowboys offensive coordinator, just coming up and taking that job? A Friday night news drop. Like, Jerry Jones dropped that at like 10 o'clock at night Eastern time. Like, he didn't want anybody talking about this.
I feel like any Dallas coaching head job is like a placeholder for Jerry Jones. So I don't really know what to think. I mean, Schottenheimer, he has a lot of experience from the past, whatever, but taking the Cowboys head coaching job has always been questionable for me, because when you look at the past Cowboy coaches, where have they gone since they gotten fired from the team? So it just, I don't know. It's hard for me, looking at a Cowboys coach, it's just hard for me to see like what they're going to actually do as a head coach, because I've never taken Cowboys head coach serious. I mean, we're talking about Jimmy Johnson way back in the day, but other than that, like you talk about Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett, even Mike McCarthy. I feel like it's kind of like a downgrade to yourself once you leave the Cowboys, because nobody even wants to hire Mike McCarthy after his I don't know how many years he's been with the Cowboys.
I feel like it was kind of obvious what happened. The Cowboys didn't think Mike McCarthy would have the balls to say no to an extension with them, and they got caught with their dick in their hand, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And again, if Jerry Jones was super excited about this, he wouldn't have dropped this Friday night, 10 p.m., where nobody's talking about it, really. Jerry Jones, he doesn't seem super excited about this move. Cowboys fans certainly are not super excited about this move. I don't know if you know any Cowboys fans, but the ones that I know are not too pleased with this move whatsoever.
I know a lot of Cowboys fans, and I haven't heard anybody say anything about it, to be honest.
Yeah. He seems to be popular with Dak Prescott. His press conference, they were hugging it out. The Cowboys have a lot of things going on in the near future with the Micah Parsons contract, and obviously this head coaching turnover. I don't know. It's just kind of weirdly unserious for the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys are a deeply unserious franchise with Jerry Jones now in his dementia chapter, but this this might be my least favorite hire of all of them, just because I'm like, you didn't really want to do this.
I agree, and I mean, if you look at Schottenheimer's track record, I mean, he was the offensive coordinator, so he got promoted as a head coach. So again, I mean, he's been around the league in a lot of different
He was
roles.
your
So
passing game coordinator in 2021.
exactly, so that goes to show. So this is his first head coaching stint. So I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think Dallas will win the division next year, but who knows what he'll do? But again, all Cowboys coaches they seem like placeholders to me.
Placeholders where they never get the real guy.
Yeah.
Let's go to Ben Johnson with the Bears. How do you feel about that?
I feel like Ben Johnson was like the number one draft pick of the hires because he was a hot commodity. A lot of teams.
I think there was a 1A, 1B situation with everybody wanted to talk to Vrabel and everybody wanted to talk to Ben Johnson.
Absolutely. Him going to Chicago, I like a lot of I liked a lot of things that he said in the press conference. So he talks a good game, and a lot of GMs and VPs they really like him. So again, he was a hot commodity. It's Chicago they need that type of head coach to their team. I guess you got Caleb Williams. It'll be his second year. So I mean maybe it'll be some chemistry. We'll see. I'm interested to see. I don't know like the coordinator positions for Chicago, but I'm interested to see like how that'll go their first year.
I don't know how they filled out their staff. That's a good thing to consider. As you'd assume that he would poach a lot of guys from that Lions coaching staff. Not draft. I typed in Ben Johnson Bears draft, but I wanted to see his staff. What do we got here? Antoine Randall L is his assistant head coach. Declan Doyle is his OC. Dennis Allen is his defensive coordinator. JT Barrett, that's a name, is his quarterbacks coach. Eric Bieniemy is his running backs coach. Wow, what a fall from grace for Eric Bieniemy.
Why is he not a head coach? Like,
well, he's flamed out. He's flamed out a couple times since leaving Kansas City.
That's crazy because he left Kansas City and went to UCLA, right?
Well, at first he was at Washington.
Oh, Washington. Okay.
With, the Commanders or football team, whatever they were.
Right. He did go to Washington. I forgot about that because he could have had a head coaching job. So that was interesting to see him come back as not a head coach or whatever. But
I want to say he was fired from UCLA.
He was fired.
I want to say that he was fired from UCLA.
Oh wow.
And
interesting enough, he also brought in one of Jacksonville's former offensive coordinator, Press Taylor. They despise him in Jacksonville. So
yeah, he was fired December 5th.
Yep. So he brought him in. I don't know the exact role, but I know it's something on offense, but it's not going to be play calling. I know that.
No, he's the running backs coach in Chicago, so bit of a downgrade for him. And they don't have any defensive coaches yet. I assume they're going to let Dennis Allen kind of build his staff, the former Saints head coach.
For sure.
So, I have weird feelings that like it's a similar take that I had with Liam Cohen, and we'll get to that in a minute. Where some guys are just coordinators. With Ben Johnson, like it feels McDaniels-esque. Like it feels like he doesn't really know. Like the vibe is, I don't know how he's going to lead a room. He's never really had to, with Dan Campbell kind of being the leader of men and being that leader, that strong presence is really, really important. And I'm not sure that I get that vibe out of Ben Johnson. Feels a little cagey, feels a little dorky, in the same vein as Mike McDaniel. Maybe not as like, because I think McDaniel has a certain level of charm to him that gets him places. I don't know if Ben Johnson has that same kind of charm. He just is an X's and O's wizard. Being an X's and O's wizard isn't everything as a head coach, as we've seen in the past. And I need to see Ben Johnson's personality a little more.
For sure. And I think, again, coming under that umbrella from Detroit from the last 3 years, like they've had a high power offense, and you just seen them explode last season with their offense. That definitely made them more unpopular in regards to head coach positions, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. So can they lead an entire team is the question. So we'll definitely see.
I don't have that concern with Aaron Glenn because I watch Aaron Glenn, and he seems to have his finger on the pulse of players. When you watched his press conference with the Jets, it was very much like it didn't seem like his first rodeo. When Ben Johnson spoke to the media, it kind of felt like he didn't know what he was getting into as far as being a head coach and handling those questions and handling those moments. And they're only going to get tougher. I mean, we saw with Gerard Mayo sticking his foot in his mouth every single week up here, and having to walk back things he said on Monday. So yeah, it's a I don't have the best vibes about Ben Johnson as far as being an offensive coordinator and being an offensive play caller and offensive schemer. There's few and far between that are better, but
for sure.
It's hard to translate that to being a head coach when you have the added responsibility of being a head coach. So we'll see. The Bears have some talent on offense.
He was under a little scrutiny because I think he's dyslexic. So like he was holding up the I think they asked him something about his left and he was going the wrong way or something like that. So
the reporter said, "Yeah, on your left," and he looked and
right.
And
so
people, I do the same thing driving, but they don't pay me $20 million to be a head coach.
Exactly. So, but no, I hope him the best in Chicago. Chicago, they need a great coach. They've been through the coaching carousel, and we talked about this in the last podcast. You kind of feel like it's almost like a curse for firing Lovie Smith that year when they went 10-6. So we'll see. We'll definitely see what Ben Johnson will do.
Yeah. Again, the big problem is getting Caleb Williams back to his USC form, and Caleb Williams is a fragile mind, to say the least. And
sure.
Ben Johnson needs to rein that in. Ben Johnson needs to kind of be I hate this like alpha kind of term. Like I hate using that because I think it's, macho masculine kind of weird, but he needs to kind of be the alpha in that room. And I don't know if he's got that kind of backbone.
Yeah. And I think
Williams is not as easygoing as Jared Goff.
Right. And I think Caleb Williams definitely needs a strong coach. And the crazy thing is, he went through a lot his rookie season. His coach got fired, and then they lost. They had that a crazy loss against Washington, and it's like they just went in a downward spiral. They started off the season pretty hot, and Caleb Williams actually had a decent rookie year, but like losing your coach mid-season or whatever it was, or whatever.
Thanksgiving, I think it was.
Thanksgiving, right. So it was just a disaster for them. So hopefully Ben Johnson can pick up the pieces for Chicago. We'll see.
And then Aaron Glenn, we talked about a little bit. Patriots are going to be seeing him twice a year. Again, the Jets kind of destroy everything they touch, and this guy wants to keep around Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not super worried about the Jets in 2025. I don't think they're a dangerous team, but I think Aaron Glenn is kind of the mold of a guy that they kind of need, a guy who can lead a locker room, take charge, kind of like everything I said bad about Ben Johnson that he doesn't have, Aaron Glenn has in an abundance.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've always seen, like the players respect them. Like, I'm watching what they were on Hard Knocks. When they were on Hard Knocks recently,
yeah, a
couple years ago, just see how the players react to him. Like they respect him a lot. So, and then he's going to the Jets, his former team. So I know he feels good about that as well. So again, he was probably. I mean, if we talk about the head coach draft picks, you have Ben Johnson number 1. Aaron Glenn was right there, if not number 1. So I think he'll do well. I don't think you will see like an immediate turnaround. I don't see them being last in the division. Unfortunately, I see the Pats being last in the division.
That's dumb, but we'll get to it. I think the Patriots are probably going to be number 2. Like I think the Dolphins are in a bad spot, and
you said number 2. Oh.
The Dolphins are in a bad spot, and I think if you are betting on the Jets in 2025, you are burning money.
I'm not. I'm not betting on the Jets, but
you're not even that confident about it.
No, but I don't feel like they're going to be last in the division. I still feel like the Patriots are going to be last in the division. It'll be either the Patriots or Miami. That's what I feel like in the division.
If there's a website that you can bet on that, would you do it?
Possibly. Possibly, if I'm doing prop bets, I'll probably do it.
If you're super confident, we can put a bet between us right now.
Hey, we'll do that offline. Let's
Why would
stick
we
to
do
the
that
script.
offline? I want it on the record. You
We
get
got
you on the record and get me on the record.
We're gonna do that offline. We gotta stick to the script. We got things to cover.
Yeah, like Pete Carroll to the Raiders. The Pete Carroll hire, I feel like that's kind of exactly the guy they kind of needed to establish everything. Like, experienced guy. He's won Super Bowl. He won a national title at USC, didn't he?
I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm not 100% sure.
But he's a culture setter. He's experienced. This is exactly the kind of guy they needed. Going in on Ben Johnson, I feel like would have been a mistake for them. They don't have a. Did USC win a title between 2001 and 2009? They had to have.
Well, while you look that up, I love Pete Carroll as a coach. I think he's a great coach. He's just old as hell. He's 73 years old, but he looks good for his age, and I feel like he is a great. I think he's. I feel like Pete Carroll is one of those coaches. He can come in any type of environment.
2003 and 2004.
2000. Okay, so he has that winning mentality. So I think the Raiders need that. And Pete Carroll's a great coach. When I saw that hire, I was like, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at Pete Carroll being the Raiders coach. Did I think he was going to go to Vegas? I had no idea. I didn't think he was, but they need that type of turnaround in there. Because you got to think about it. They had Gruden, and that was a disaster. McDaniel, that was a disaster. Antonio Pierce, not necessarily a disaster, but he kind of just, he got the job, and then they end up, cutting him or firing him or whatever. So Pete Carroll, I feel like he can build around what they have. You got a lot of future stars there. You got Brock Bowers. I said a lot of future stars, but Brock Bowers. I mean, you bring in a great quarterback to feed him. He's gonna be putting up some impressive numbers down the line, down the years or whatever. So I love the Pete Carroll hire, and I like him as a coach. He's a very motivational coach.
No, I think Carroll is, for all the reasons you said, Carroll was the guy for the job. I really like their GM hire in Spytech, coming from Tampa.
Yeah,
obviously a Brady connection there. Brady obviously led the charge on all of this. The one move that I am really scratching my head about is them naming Chip Kelly their offensive coordinator.
I just saw that. So what's your beef with Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator?
He's very gimmicky. It's a very gimmicky offense. It's very college style. It flamed out to hell in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
It flamed out to hell in San Francisco. I believe he was there too. In those disaster years before they hired Shanahan. And then obviously he went to Ohio State, won a national championship, but everybody saw that Michigan game. That was purely because Ryan Day and Chip Kelly couldn't come together on how to do things in that game. Wanted to prove that they could be a tough team just like Michigan, and lost. So I don't know. His offense feels super gimmicky. It's not NFL football, and things that aren't NFL football don't usually work in the NFL.
You saw the disaster years ago when Philly had the quote unquote super team, and it was just a disaster, and he got ran out of Philadelphia. So, I mean, we'll see what he brings as an offensive coordinator for
listen,
them.
I have no reason to hate Chip Kelly, UNH head coach, UNH graduate, Dover native. He lived like 30 minutes away from where I grew up. So no agenda here. It's just I don't know that if he's an NFL guy.
I think one of the things about Chip Kelly, he had issues with certain players. I know, like there was.
Remember when he said LaShawn McCoy or Deshaun Jackson was like in a gang or something?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So when you make remarks like that, players are not going to respect you, and then you have conflict. So I mean, I don't know if that's still a thing with him, but you don't want players around that because they're not going to respect you, and then it just turns into something else. So, but we'll see what he does.
He did win a national championship in 2011 with
huge coaching background. Yeah.
Eagles and the Niners, they were obviously disaster. UCLA, it wasn't awful. Yep, just I don't got good vibes about Chip Kelly back in the NFL.
I'm iffy about him as well.
I thought Brady had a pretty good offseason, but that's the move that I'm questioning over there in Vegas. But Pete Carroll, slam dunk. The AFC West has the best division of head coaches in football.
Oh, for sure.
Harbaugh, Peyton, Carroll, and obviously Andy Reid, who is on the precipice of becoming the greatest head coach of all time, if he's not there already.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's a spicy take, John.
Because
here's basically what I say. So obviously Bill has the 6 championships with the Patriots with Tom Brady, greatest 20-year run in NFL history. Yada yada. What was Bill without Brady in one word?
Listen, I agree with you.
Disastrous is the word.
I don't disagree with you.
Was Andy Reid ever a disaster?
No, he wasn't. He just didn't get it done in Philly as far as getting the championship in Philly.
And who was his quarterbacks? Donovan McNabb, fresh out of jail, Mike Vick.
Right.
I feel like there's somebody in between. Oh, Alex Smith was in the first years of Kansas City. Lot of guys who were just okay to good. Andy Reid didn't get his. Would you say Kevin Cobb?
Was that his name?
Yeah,
yeah. Right.
And he was always good. Like he only had 2 or 3 seasons with under 6 wins. In his entire tenure, his first year and his last one in Philly, he went into Kansas City, turned around a 2-14 team into an 11-5 team, and making the playoffs every single year.
He's a great coach. The players love him. Like Andy Reid was the first coach I see actually do a chest bump with one of his players. That was like the funniest thing I ever seen.
You ever see Bill do that?
He did that. He did that to Deshaun Jackson. Big Red did a chest bump. I was like, wow. But the players love him. That's the type of coach he is. Like he looks all serious and whatnot, but he's a
hard ass in practice. But the players respect him, and
Absolutely.
The players respected Bill too. But Bill without Brady is a disaster.
But
Randy Reid was never a disaster.
But we say all that, but you remember the incident where Travis Kelce was all up in his face? Like, I don't know what the hell that was about, but this happened maybe like
Bill would have traded him.
Huh?
Bill would have traded him in his prime. Bill would have traded him.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And they you know, it's a lot of testosterone on the field, so they probably patched that shit up real quick. So
no, Bill wouldn't have. That's a mark on Bill.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So that's my point. Bill without Brady is a disaster. Andy Reid didn't get his version of Brady with Mahomes until he was late 60s, early 60s.
Yeah.
Bill got his guy at like 52.
Right.
And had him for 20 years. And I don't know. I just think Andy Reid, top to bottom's resume is
great coach.
Is better.
I agree with you.
And if he three-peats, that's something Bill never did. It's hard to. It's getting a lot closer. Andy and Bill. I think out of the big 3 debates, it's Kelce and Gronk, it's Brady and Mahomes, and it's Andy Reid and Bill Belichick.
Oh, for sure.
I think Kelsey's already pretty much got Gronk right by the gonads. His Super Bowls, he's already matched. His production is better. Obviously, Gronk had a shorter career, a lot more injuries. His playing style was a lot more physical. You can't really take that away from him. But what Kelsey's doing is just as insane. So it's hard to argue against it. Brady and Mahomes still has a little bit of ways to go, but it's hard not to say he's on match to like crush him in a very short window.
Absolutely.
And obviously, Reid and Bill, I'm already ready to call it, but I have some sour feelings about Bill in 2025.
I see. You letting it all out today.
You should have saw the podcast we did after he was fired. It was a party.
Oh, I got to check that out.
All right. You want to start with my team or your team for this last one?
Let's start with your team.
Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. It's hard not to rehash everything that I said already. I think Mike Vrabel is the second best coach in this division already, if not the first. I'm not a big Sean McDermott guy. I think he gets in Josh Allen's way a lot, and they're never going to get over that hump until somebody can not get so outclassed, outcoached by Andy Reid every single time in the playoffs. But Mike Vrabel had a lot of success in Tennessee right up until those last 2 years where obviously they picked the wrong quarterbacks with Malik Willis and Will Levis. Their offensive coordinators left, and Todd Downing was the last guy standing, and that was a failure. Derrick Henry started to get old, and then he went to Baltimore and was suddenly rejuvenated. They moved A.J. Brown and tried to replace him with Treylon Burks. That didn't go well. Not Vrabel's fault on the record. So, yeah, obviously the end of Tennessee was not great. But you look at the second he got to Tennessee, when he took over that team that was kind of middling, took him to the AFC Championship, twice? Had 2 seasons of 12, 13, 14 wins, making the playoffs every year, pretty much ended the Patriots dynasty by outclassing Bill Belichick with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I feel really good about this Vrabel hire. A lot of coaches are better the second time around. He has a very solid offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels, who might be a disaster as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, it's few and far between to find a guy who's as good as Josh. He spends a lot of time building game plans simply to take out your team's biggest strengths. Like if the Patriots are playing the Jaguars, McDaniels is a maniac about trying to find your weaknesses and exploiting them. And when he has the ability to be an offensive coordinator and lock in on that, that's where his value comes in. He's a smart coach. He listens to all different ideas. He listens to different voices, and he's going to implement as many things as he can for Drake May within his limitations. Josh and Mike Vrabel are both really good at knowing what they have, knowing what they don't have, and how to maximize what they do have. So I think that's a really good pairing. And obviously, Vrabel on defense, I have no worries. He is a very good defensive coach. I don't want to say he's very hands-on, but it's going to be Vrabel's defense. And his defensive coaches are going to implement that for him. The offensive coaches, where I get a little worrisome, because a lot of ways it feels like a kind of a forced marriage between Vrabel and McDaniels, but from everything I can tell, they get along really well. McDaniels wanted some new voices in the building, which is why we hired guys like Thomas Brown, who was the interim coach for the Bears, spent some time as McVay's offensive coordinator and tight ends coach. We brought over some guys that Vrabel had in Tennessee. We brought in Doug Marrone as our offensive line coach. Obviously, you're very familiar with Doug Marrone. He's a well-respected offensive line. I don't want to say guru. I don't think he's earned that quite of a praise, but he's very respected in his offensive line coaching. And we brought back Dante Scarnecchia in some role to help Marrone kind of come in the building and figure it out. So Dante Scarnecchia, one of the best offensive line coaches of all time. So yeah, I feel really, really good about this Vrabel hire. In short summation, we've obviously spent a lot of time on the podcast talking about that in recent weeks.
I have no beef with Vrabel. I think you saw the writings on the wall that he was going to go to New England. Obviously, he's a
pretty
former,
quickly,
yeah. But I will say he was a coach in our division with the Titans. Our division trash, so it didn't really take much. You had
one good team to get 6 free wins. Yeah,
I mean, you had the biggest superstar in the division, Derrick Henry. All you had to do was build around him. You had a mediocre quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. Sometimes above average. So, but I'm not going to.
He was anywhere between 13 and 16.
I'm not taking anything away from Mike Vrabel. I think he's a great coach, but what I witnessed from Mike Vrabel the last 2 years in Tennessee, we saw Tennessee fall apart. Like they started off that season. This was the 2023 season. They started off the season hot. They were looking like they were going to take the division again, and then downward spiral. And every press conference, Vrabel he's just looking like, I don't want to be here. It was just all over his face or whatever.
And hindsight, when we look at everything that went down with Tennessee, it's kind of easy to see. Oh, yeah, he didn't really want to be there anymore. The owners started to meddle with his
absolutely,
stuff.
Absolutely. And I blame a lot of that on the owner, especially like one of the worst trades that we've seen in a long time. Besides some of these recent trades, but
I totally forgot about that segment.
Yeah. I was looking for that on the script.
We'll throw that in. I'll make a note of it.
Yeah, we can bring it up, but other than that, losing AJ Brown and Derrick Henry, like they just fell the hell apart. And Vrabel, I just feel like he just had enough with ownership and with the team, and then boom, he was out of there. So that may or may not happen in New England. If he has a team that collapsed, you as a leader of your team, what would you do or what are you going to do for your team as a leader when the team falls apart? So, but other than that, I think he's again, everything you said, I agree about Mike Vrabel. I think he's a great coach, and I think he obviously will fit into the New England area very well. So I'm very interested to see what he's going to do his first year because
the Patriots are in a bad spot. Yeah.
Y'all don't have a lot to work with, except Drake May is definitely a bright spot. You can build around him.
I've been saying since day one, we have 3 or 4 really cornerstone pieces. We have Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, Christian Barmore with the asterisk that he stays healthy, and we have the number 4 overall pick. And
y'all need some receivers. Y'all definitely need some receivers. So again, I'm interested to see what he's going to do his first year. And like you said, coaches, their second go around, they sometimes have a lot of success.
Good ones get really good the second time around.
Oh, for sure, and it also speaks volumes for me when I look at coaches get fired. So you see a lot of coaches, they get fired and then they go back to being a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. He got another head coach job.
After spending a year in Cleveland as a consultant learning offense.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do. What was your record for and how many?
4-13.
Okay. So y'all won 4 games.
Same record we had the year before.
So how many games do you think y'all going to win this season? Next season?
Our home schedule is very easy. The opponents, we can do this exercise really quick. I can pull out the Patriots opponents this year, and we can say win or loss. 2025. So at home, we'll go through the division games first. The Bills, probably a loss. The Jets at home, that's a win. It was last year with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback and Gerard Mayo at head coach. So don't tell me that's not a win. And then Miami, toss up. Miami's had our number in recent years, but I think we're better than them. Miami's pending on a collapse. I'll give us a win there. So that's 2. And then let's just go down the list. Cleveland. We should beat Cleveland, right?
Y'all should.
3. The Falcons.
Y'all should beat Cleveland. Y'all should beat Cleveland.
We should beat the Falcons, right?
No, I think the Falcons will beat y'all.
Okay, I'll mark that. I'm marking me as 4. You mark you at 3.
Okay.
The Giants.
That could be a W. Y'all could beat the W.
6.
Okay, 6.
The Raiders. No quarterback. And the Steelers, we own the Steelers. So
the Steelers will beat y'all. They're going to beat y'all.
They haven't beaten us in a decade.
Damn, it's been that long?
Much less at Foxboro. They haven't beaten us at Gillette Stadium maybe ever.
Oh, shit. All right, well, you have that one.
We beat them with Bailey Zappi at quarterback in 2023. We'll beat the Steelers. Do not rest about that.
How many wins are we at right now?
You're 1 less than me, and I'm at 7. So
I'm not going over 6. I'm not going over 6 wins.
Our home schedule is that easy, John. I haven't even gotten to the away opponents yet.
All right.
So you're at 6. I'm at 7.
Okay, go ahead.
Obviously, Bills away. That's a loss. The Dolphins away. We are never good in Miami. That's a loss. And I think we'll sweep the Jets. I think they're that bad.
Y'all not sweeping the Jets. They're gonna take one. They're gonna at least take one.
We're sweeping the Jets.
They are going to take one.
Especially if they keep Rodgers, we're sweeping the Jets. The Tennessee Titans, they suck.
The Titans are horrible. So yeah, y'all will beat the Titans.
And then this is where it gets tough. The Ravens, that's a really tough team.
L.
That's an L. The Bengals, they should be a tough team as long as we don't play them week 1.
L.
Unless we play them week 1.
Because all the
Buccaneers, that's a good team.
That's another loss.
And I think we'll beat the Saints.
Probably.
So that's anywhere between 7 and 10 wins.
The ceiling is 7, and
Why?
y'all don't have the talent yet.
I just read you that schedule. It's easy.
It looks good on paper. So pump your
we haven't
brakes.
even made any moves yet.
Pump your brakes.
How are you gonna feel when we sign T. Higgins and then draft Abdul Carter and then fix the offensive line?
Hey, T. Higgins would be a great addition.
I don't think we'll sign T. Higgins. I think Joe Burrow is gonna LeBron them into
for
T.
sure.
Higgins, but
You do not want to let go of T. Higgins. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, you don't want to get rid of that. But we'll see. Who do we got next?
I'm just saying. I read you those opponents. You admit that that's super easy. I think you should be a little higher on the Patriots next year.
I just don't believe in
Mike Vrabel.
No. I didn't say that.
Do
but
you not believe in Drake May?
You were talking. No, I like Drake May.
So you have the head coach and the quarterback. You back
I
your ass.
I told you him and Christian Gonzalez is your brightest spots on the team. I just feel like it's going to take it's going to take some time to develop your team. Y'all going to need some pieces. I mean, the ceiling for your team, the ceiling is like 7 wins, honestly. And I think as a Patriots fan, not to say you should be happy for that, but
I will be ecstatic with 7 wins. Going from 4 to 7 is a big leap,
right?
But I think 7, so anywhere between 7 and 10 is achievable as long as we do the things that we need to this offseason with drafting and acquiring talent, which we haven't been able to do the last couple of years. So those are the big pieces. We'll have to revisit this after the draft and all that, and really get a real feel for how this roster is. But when you have the head coach and you have the quarterback, you should be backing your ass into 7 wins every year.
I agree.
With a head coach like Vrabel and a quarterback that's supposed to be as good as Drake May, you should be backing your ass into 7 wins every year. Minimum. So that's where I'm at with it. The expectations are high because I think Vrabel is a really, really, really great coach, as do you. I believe Drake May should be a really, really good quarterback, as do you. As long as we agree, 7 wins should be on the table right there to get it and everything more. And again, I read you those home opponents. They're easy.
I'm interested to see what his stint is going to be like with the Patriots. Like, is he going to be the long-term coach, or is he only going to be there for 3 or 4 years and y'all fall apart and then y'all looking for your next head coach? So I'm just interested to see what he's going to do.
If you think Vrabel's as good as you said you did, that shouldn't be a
I won't be surprised if y'all have success with Vrabel. So I won't be surprised. But again, I'm just interested to see what he's going to do, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. I'll let you go first. I want to rain on the parade after it's going. So
Jacksonville, the community, Duval, Liam
it
Cohen.
Wasn't that smooth, and you know it.
So I'll admit I didn't know much about Liam Cohen before the draft. I only learned about him once we started looking for a head coach and they started naming all the names because our fan base, honestly, we wanted Ben Johnson. That was probably the biggest name that I heard. And again, a lot of teams wanted Ben Johnson. Interesting enough, once Ben Johnson got the Chicago position, we were like, oh shit, well, he's gone, so who's on the table now? And then, we interviewed a lot of all the coaches, we interviewed them. And then
of course Mike Vrabel?
No, we did that way. We didn't interview him.
Probably because we hired him so quickly.
It's so crazy that we would be the team that had like the most talk with the whole coaching, because the media loves toxic shit. So of course the whole situation with Liam Cohen, he didn't take the job and was going to go back as the highest paid offensive coordinator. And then the situation happened where we fired Trent Baalke, and then he was like, you know what? I think I do want that Jacksonville job. So it was crazy, all over the news or whatever. And then
you're not going to talk about the biggest problems with that? Or you're just going to let me do that?
So I can understand why people had issues with that when you talk about integrity and giving people your word. But I will say, in a standpoint, is we as fans, we don't know the exact whole story of the situation. But I will admit that does sound kind of funny. It does sound a little sketchy. Like,
when
damn,
Adam Schefter breaks a story that Doug Peterson has been fired. Okay, walk with me here. When Adam Schefter breaks that story, do you say, well, we don't know yet, let's wait for the Jacksonville Jaguars Twitter to really post
when
it?
Adam Schefter, when
Adam Schefter says that Liam Cohen did the Buccaneers dirty, you can probably assume that he's telling the truth there too.
But then Adam Schefter also didn't he also say something about, well, Liam Cohen, his son was supposedly sick or something like that, and they were trying to reach out to him.
I never followed up on that story, but the my biggest takeaway from that whole situation was it wasn't that he changed his mind, because I think he has all the right in the world to relook at that head coaching opportunity with the Jaguars. My problem was that he didn't really tell anybody with the Buccaneers after he agreed. He told Baker Mayfield, yeah, I'm coming back, no problem. Like, you just kind of need to grow a pair and tell your bosses, yeah, I changed my mind. With Balky leaving, I really, really want to take this opportunity. And it doesn't seem like that's the conversation that was had. It was much just going to slide this under the table here. Yeah, I'm gone. See ya.
The elephant in the room was Trent Baalke. I mean, once they got him out of there.
And again, not blaming Liam Cohen for wanting to reinvestigate that opportunity. My problem was how not that he took back his word, but how he went about taking back his word.
I got you.
That was my biggest concern. And then when I look at that and I pair that with his goofy ass press conference, I'm like, I don't know if you got head coaching material written on you, dude.
Hey, listen, I don't care how he says Duval. As long as he bring us some win and success with the team, I don't care. He can say Duval all goofy like he did or whatever. Listen, I've heard a lot of great things since I've done my homework on Liam Cohen. A lot of great things said about him. I mean, I saw an interview with Baker Mayfield, and he was just talking about how he was like one of his favorite coordinators that he's ever been under.
I wonder how he feels about him now.
What do you say?
I wonder how he feels about him now.
I think he still has great things to say about him as well. So, but anyhow, Liam Cohen was
I'm looking at Liam Cohen's experience.
He's been all over the place. Kentucky.
So for one, he spent a lot of time up here in New England.
Yep.
And number two, he coached like every team in the Big East except for my University of New Hampshire Wildcats, including being the offensive coordinator for UMaine. So I will never like this guy.
Because of that?
I hate UMaine, dude. I fucking hate them.
He was Brown quarterback coach, Rhode Island pass game coordinator 2011, UMass pass game coordinator, Maine. So he spent a lot of time in the New England area.
Except for UNH.
Right. And he was the Rams wide receiver coach. So he's been around quite a bit.
His head coaching career is only 15 years old.
And listen, I'm excited for Liam Cohen. I mean, obviously he has an offensive mind, and that's been a struggle for Jacksonville we have so much talent on offense, and we can't utilize them. Like, we have so many weapons. When you talk about, I can't think of my team. Obviously, the rookie Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne. I mean, we have so many weapons. So just to see that our offense,
I think Tank Bigsby is going to be your RB1.
For sure. I'm
holding that guy on fantasy and for my dear life.
I don't think Travis Etienne is even going to be there next year. But needless to say, we have a lot of weapons on offense. So if we bring a great offensive mind that can put the puzzle pieces together, I mean, we could be a threat like we're supposed to be. And then I feel like Trevor Lawrence still hasn't been utilized enough. So I'm excited to see what Liam Cohen's going to bring to Jacksonville. And again, I don't care how he says Duval. As long as we get some wins, get some W's, hey, I'll be excited.
Listen, when you get the hotshot offensive coordinator name, it's hard not to get excited about that with the success rate that it's had in recent memory. But for every Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, there's a Brian Callahan, Zach Taylor, the guys who don't pan out, Josh McDaniels. Again, with my beef with Liam Cohen is all of that. It's how he left Tampa. It's the goofy press conference. It's the lack of experience. It makes me think, how would you handle a situation like, how would you handle a year like the San Francisco 49ers had this year, where 2 players on their roster had kids die from stillbirth or whatever the sickness, between, I think it was Trent Williams and that cornerback. Was it Travarius Ward that had? I don't know. I think it was Travarius Ward. And then CMC's potentially career-ending injury. Your rookie first-round pick, Ricky Pearsall, getting shot in the street. How would you, Liam Cohen? Because your job isn't just the X's and O's, bury your head in the playbook, game plan scheming. Like, you and Ben Johnson what's on the table now is handling team discipline, not letting players run you all around. And obviously these cataclysmic situations, like if, like, I don't want to wish this upon you, but like Trevor Etienne gets into a hit and run and gets arrested. That's on your plate now that you have to deal with as a head coach. And Liam Cohen's only been coaching in 2010, and his highest ranked position is offensive coordinator, which he's only done 4 years at respectable institutions, and then 1 year at UMaine. So, John, you got to understand my.
So you're questioning his resume to where he's at now.
Everything.
Listen, I look at
it's the same criticisms that I have and distrust that I have with Ben Johnson. It's not like I'm just picking on Jacksonville here.
I got you.
Because I mentioned Ben Johnson. I'm really concerned about how he's going to handle Caleb Williams being an absolute diva in the media. Like, that's not something. Dan Campbell isn't walking in that door and dealing with that for you like he did last year. It's on you now. And I have a hard time trusting those guys.
Listen, I like it. I'm thinking as Shad Khan, like, you lost Doug Peterson. You had to let Doug Peterson go. Now you're looking for the future of Jacksonville. So you have to make some, not necessarily drastic moves, but you got to make some strategic moves to bring the fan base back, because a lot of the fan base was so upset because Trent Baalke was still there. He straight fired Trent Baalke, so that speaks volumes for me. He gets Liam Cohen. He brings him in, and yes, his resume. This is his first head coaching job, so who knows how that's going to pan out. But as of late, he just hired Tony Boselli as our VP. A really big move in the Jacksonville area to bring in Tony, our Hall of Famer, as the VP. So now we're looking for our GM. So I'm looking at it as, you got to be optimistic as a Jacksonville fan, because like Liam Cohen is our eighth coach since we've had our team or whatever. So at this point, we needed a coach. We need a good coach. If he doesn't pan out, hey, run in
the mill for you. Run in the mill for the Jaguars,
right?
Yeah.
But Shad Khan has made a lot of moves of late, and a lot of people were mad that Trent Baalke was still there. So him firing Trent Baalke, bringing in Tony Boselli, we got our coach. Now we need a GM. Listen, I'm not mad at the moves that were made recently, and as a Jaguar fan, the only thing I can do is be optimistic, because we have been bad for a long time. So I'm not mad at the move at all, honestly.
I'm not mad at it either. I'm explaining why I'm skeptical.
So you know who our coach was going to be if it wasn't Liam Cohen? If Liam Cohen would have stayed in Tampa Bay, you know who our coach was going to be?
I don't know who else you interviewed.
Robert Saleh. He was going to be our coach. Robert Saleh had an interview that Liam Cohen, I think when he was, I guess, quote unquote, dodging Tampa Bay, he spoke to him on a Wednesday. We brought in Robert Saleh that Thursday. And at that point, it was all over the media that Liam Cohen was talking to us for the head coaching job, and then they made the announcement right after that. Robert Saleh ended up going to San Fran. Did he get that defensive coordinator position?
I think he signed the contract.
Robert Saleh would have been our coach. So, and I wouldn't really have been mad at Robert Saleh as a coach. I know you probably had your views on that or whatever.
He's a really good D coordinator. He's not head coaching material. He lets the players kind of run all over him.
Oh, well, the debacle with Aaron Rodgers on the sideline pushing him off him. that was pretty
Saleh
wild.
just like, oh well, I guess he's just allowed to do that. He's Aaron Rodgers. Like, who am I to?
But I think at your viewpoint, I can kind of understand where you're coming from in regards to Liam Cohen as a coach. But as a Jacksonville fan, we just need a coach.
No, you're latching on to any bit of optimism that you can get because you've been in the dumps basically your entire life.
Listen, I'm not saying that I will accept any coach, but the move just has to be right. It has to be strategic. And I'm not mad at all.
I don't feel like this was strategic though.
I feel like it was
because if it was strategic, you would have fired Trent Baalke so Liam Cohen wouldn't have turned around.
That was very strategic. He came in. He was like, no.
To leave to keep Trent Baalke around an extra couple weeks.
No, not that. But I'm just saying the whole fact. Liam Cohen came in.
It was a panic. It was like, oh my god, we just got turned around by this guy. We need to fire Trent Baalke.
Maybe not strategic, but you got to make some type of move. They literally fired this man.
Liam Cohen was the right move, but you should have done it so then so many coaches wouldn't.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. He should have been out of there, but you had it at that point. We had to do something. I saw fans saying they were not going to even renew their tickets because of that. So when all these moves were made, like I've seen stuff on X where some of the ticket sellers
call it Twitter.
Twitter, whatever.
We're an anti-Elon podcast, okay? Like, screw him.
All right, I got you. But people was like, all right, I'm going to renew my tickets now. Some of the ticket sellers was like, hey, y'all ready to renew now? Because people were saying they weren't going to renew their tickets because of Trent Baalke. But can you blame him? Like, this dude made some horrible decisions. He made some he made some good decisions too, but the bad outweighed the good. So again, being a Jaguar fan, the only thing we can do is be optimistic, and we can just hope that Liam Cohen just can bring something to the team.
So honestly, you're saying in trying to talk me into Liam Cohen, you're actually trying to talk yourself into Liam Cohen?
Listen, it's just me being optimistic. It's just me being optimistic, hoping that he is what we need as a coach for Jacksonville. Because we've been on this ride for a long time.
Yeah, it's really tough when Doug Marrone and Gus Bradley are your top coaches of all time.
Gus Bradley was definitely not our top coach. We talk about Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin was our best coach of all time.
Head coach?
Huh?
He was a head coach for you?
Yeah. Before you
what?
You didn't know that?
Oh, way back when?
When Jacksonville got their team back in 95, the 95-96, Tom Coughlin was our coach. He took us to the AFC Championship. In 99, Mark Brunell was our quarterback at the time.
I was thinking like 2012. I'm like, really? Like when he was that executive VP or whatever?
Right. He came back as a VP. So Tom Coughlin was one of our best coaches. And then Jack Del Rio was a great coach for us as well. So if you look at the if we're doing like a hierarchy of best coaches,
who's had a downward spiral.
So it's Tom Coughlin, Jack Del Rio, probably Doug Peterson. Oh no, I can't. Doug
Marrone over Doug Peterson. Come on now.
Yeah, he took us to the AFC Championship. So and then Doug Peterson. So anyhow,
Murder's row of top coaches of all time for sure.
What you say?
Murder's row of top 10 head coaches. Yeah, for sure. It's okay. The Patriots have had like two good ones in their entire. It's Parcells and Belichick.
Oh yeah, Bill Parcells is a great coach.
I mean, Pete Carroll was fine, but not. It got worse every year. Kraft wanted to hire Bill out the gate, but people were like, "Oh, that's gonna have a really negative response. Don't do that." So he hired Carroll for a couple of years, and then obviously the debacle in 2000 when they had to trade for Bill, and they did that.
Got you.
And then obviously we're going to be looking at Gerard Mayo. Like, oh, that's an ugly mark between the two good coaches of Bill and Vrabel.
Do you feel like Gerard Mayo will get another head coaching position?
Not for a long time. Because like like Liam Cohen, the resume to me when I read it doesn't tell me that you earned to be a head coach. He only coached for only a certain amount of time. He didn't go and build a network, which Liam Cohen, I will give him credit. His network is probably far better than Mayo's because he's been around a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Mayo only coached here since his football career was over. All he's known is Belichick guys. We had to overpay Alex Van Pelt to come in here. And then all we did was promote the defensive coaches last year. Mayo needs to leave and build a network. Start from the bottom and come to the top. And maybe in 10 to 15 years, people are ready to give him another shot. I think it's going to take that long because I think it takes that long to be a respectable head coaching candidate.
Who's your defensive coordinator?
We took the defensive line coach from Detroit, Terrell Williams. He was Vrabel's assistant head coach in Tennessee. Very highly regarded. Lions players loved him to death. We had a Lions fan on our podcast last week or 2 weeks ago. Talk about how much he impacted that team, getting a lot of production out of guys who probably weren't like 53-man roster level players because the Lions had so many injuries on defense. So Terrell Williams is our defensive coordinator, and then we just brought in a lot of guys that Vrabel used to work with in Tennessee and whatnot.
I just want to add real quick. We just announced our offensive coordinator Grant Udinski. He was the Vikings
assistant QB coach.
Yeah,
we interviewed him for our OC job before we hired Josh. A lot of Vikings fans are like, we don't know why he's getting hype. He's 28 years old. So yeah, he's
28. Oh wow,
a very inexperienced staff down in Jacksonville right now.
Hey, watch it now. The Viking, one of the a Viking fan, he's a friend of mine. He tagged me in a post laughing when they announced that we're bringing him in as an offensive coordinator. But hey, somebody knows something because he's an offensive coordinator. So
I really just feel like the NFL has become a place where we are trying to just latch on and try to find that next Sean McVay, that next Kyle Shanahan, the next Ben Johnson. Again, we don't know how Ben Johnson is going to go as a head coach, but walk with me. The next Cliff Kingsbury, remember that?
Yeah.
It hasn't bared the fruits of all of that yet in a lot of places. Like nobody has come close to doing what Shanahan and McVay are as coaches, the tight pants offensive gurus. And I feel like Jacksonville might be falling in that trap again. Yeah, like many other franchises around them.
What? So since you said all that, so why does Miami love Mike McDaniel so much?
I have no idea. Because he got a lot out of Tua that Brian Flores couldn't. I think that's one thing he has. He knows how to work with quarterbacks. Tua's obviously not good enough. They need to upgrade to really make a push. And Mike McDaniel has had his limitations, frankly. Like I said, I'm obviously not super high on Mike McDaniel. If I'm saying, yeah, the Patriots are probably going to beat the brakes off of them finally. And they're going to finish second in that division. They like McDaniel because he's easy. I think he doesn't bark with ownership like Brian Flores did. Again, he's an offensive guy, and we all want the offensive guy. And now the Dolphins are hamstrung to Tyreek Hill, who shows up late to practice, beats women, and
allegedly
runs it. No, it's very. He's been arrested for domestic assault. Tua obviously very limited as a player, even more injury prone.
I think as crazy as this sounds, I think what Mike McDaniel. Not that ownership think this, but I think he's popular because of his look. He's not your traditional looking quarterback. He's
charming. He's absolutely charming.
He's like a nerdy guy that never plays sports in his life, and he doesn't have that head coach look. He's pretty young as a coach or whatever, but I mean he knows his stuff. So I think that kind of makes him an outcast as far as all the coaches that we have in the league. So he has like a a non-traditional look about him that I think the media loves it. So if you watch a lot of these football
no, he's
shows,
very easygoing. But would you call him a
exactly.
top 10 coach in the league right now? You
What's
shouldn't.
that?
Would you call him a
Oh,
top 10 head coach right now? You absolutely shouldn't. Should the Dolphins move on for a better coach? Probably. But he's very easygoing, and the Dolphins aren't exactly in a rush because they back into 8-9 wins a year, maybe getting into the playoffs, but they're not a serious team. They never are. They don't compete with the good teams, and they never compete late in the year.
I mean, at one point last season, they were looking like, hey, this might be the team to beat. They
The last couple years they've done that, and then they collapse every year.
They just collapse.
Every year.
Yeah.
So I think the Jaguars, they should take a lesson from the Dolphins, but I don't know that they will. Because, again, Liam Cohen, Grant Udinski, two really young coaches with not a ton of experience, getting high-profile, high-responsibility roles.
I mean, don't make it seem like we haven't seen like coaches with not that much experience have a great.
I just feel like you're kind of stepping on the rake, and it's hitting you in the face every time, and you're not learning. I feel like Shad Khan's doing that. I don't want to put that on your responsibility because ultimately it's upstairs responsibility. But I'm using you as a representative for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean, I'm just thinking about some of the coaches that we've brought in like from the past. Like Gut Bradley was a disaster. We had Mike. Oh my God, Urban Meyer. I don't even want to talk about that. I wasn't even thinking about him. But anyhow, Gus Bradley. We had Mike Mularkey. Mike, you don't remember Mike Mularkey?
No, I went.
Yeah, we had him for like 1 year. Then he ended up going to Tennessee. But Doug Marrone was actually a decent coach. So I'm just thinking about some of the coaches. He's no doubt the youngest coach that we've ever had. So listen, I really don't care. I mean, no, I do care, but I just want to see what he does.
You don't care about my northeastern criticisms and high critique of sports.
Listen, I'm when it comes to my team and just our track record, I'm just optimistic. Like we're making a lot of changes. So
listen, every other year you guys ask, it really can't get worse.
It is what it is.
So I hope that you have a better understanding of my concerns with Liam Cohen and obviously now Grant Udinski, who is now in that fold. I thought it was a bad move for Seattle to go interview him because I'm like, he's 28 years old. Like he's just a couple years older than me.
Oh, and also we also have our defensive coordinator. They announced that this week as well. Anthony Campani. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Anthony Campanale.
Okay.
He came from Green Bay.
42. He's 42 years old. He was the linebackers coach and run game coordinator for the Packers, a little bit of both. Linebackers coach for the Miami Dolphins. Linebackers coach for the Michigan Wolverines, and he was a defensive coordinator for Boston College way back in 2018.
Okay.
He worked on both sides of the ball, but mostly defense. A lot of high school. Coached at Rutgers in Boston College in Michigan. Not a lot of experience in high-profile positions.
We were looking at Ron Rivera at one point. I was actually excited about that, but that didn't pan out.
He went back to college. He's coaching Cal, I want to say it was.
That must have just happened.
Yeah, it was today.
Oh, okay.
He's an analyst for Cal.
Oh, okay.
So, again, like I said, I hope that this resulted in you having a better understanding of my criticisms and skepticism of Liam Cohen, and not like I'm just picking on the Jaguars to piss you off.
I got you. Hey, listen, that's how you feel as an outsider.
All right. I put this in B block because I totally forgot about it. We obviously had the Luka Doncic trade this week going to the Lakers. Obviously, I forget the terms of that deal already. Luka, I'm sure it won't take too long to pull that up. I just wish I wish Google would just give me it, but they make me read these articles, and they never just line it up. They never line it up. All right. The Lakers, Jazz, and Mavericks participated in a 3-team trade. The Lakers received Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris from the Mavericks. Dallas acquired Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick. So, John, you texted me for this podcast and said, hey, why don't we do a segment where we try to make NFL equivalents of all of this?
The Luka trade in football terms. So when you think about that, in football terms, you could think about a trade that hasn't happened or a trade that has happened in the league before.
Yeah, and NFL trades are weird. Like, I feel like players never go for like their value. It's always a little short. You never see the traded for 3 first-round picks trades, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just throw out my first example that I saw on Twitter. This would be like in 2021 when the Bengals lost the Super Bowl. It's like this isn't a perfect comparison, but it's like if the Bengals traded Joe Burrow after that Super Bowl, and they traded Joe Burrow for Matt Stafford and a first-round pick. An experienced guy, not as good, and one first-round pick for a quarterback at the top of his game, coming off of a Super Bowl appearance.
Okay, I can see that.
Or trading Russell Wilson in 2013-14 for Matt Ryan and a first-round pick. Like a young superstar quarterback for an older guy nearing the end of his career and one first-round pick.
The trade just it was such a weird trade because it just seems so lopsided. When you think about Luka and Anthony Davis, it was just something feels off about it. But I think the bigger picture of that whole deal is that, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that Dallas didn't want to give Luka the max trade because he was going to get like
That's absolutely true.
So they was like, you know what, we're not going to give you a trade, so we might as well just go ahead and try to get something for him now, and brought in Anthony Davis. So
here's the concrete facts that we know right now. Everything else is conspiracy about the new Dallas ownership wanting to tank this team and move it to Vegas and get into betting and all that stuff. But what we know for the facts is this: Luka Doncic, the Mavericks were concerned about his conditioning, his weight, didn't know how well of an investment Luka Doncic was going to be in that Supermax contract. Those were concrete facts. And then they traded him to the Lakers because, one, they really coveted Anthony Davis, and two, they didn't talk to anybody else. Didn't even build a trade market. They just shipped in the Lakers. And my overall thoughts on that trade is this: the Lakers got worse this year, but they made the move with the future in mind. For a post-LeBron era for the Lakers, they have somebody to build around. But this Lakers team right now, it's the worst defense in the league, hands down. The Mavericks come out of this trade better for this year. Next year, it's not the same. It's not going to be very good. But those are my initial thoughts of that.
Yeah, it just seemed really lopsided, and I know it didn't make sense to a lot of people, but these a lot of sports is all about business, and sometimes we don't know like the details on why some of these trades don't make sense or whatever. But definitely a wild trade. My wife actually texted me that. I woke up in the morning. That was the first thing I saw. I was like, "What?" So it was pretty weird.
What's your examples?
You
didn't do homework, did you?
I did. I actually did homework, but I couldn't think of any past trades. So I was thinking of something like Lamar Jackson for Myles Garrett in the first round pick or something like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I was thinking more something along the lines where people will be like, "Huh?" and fans will be kind of like mad or not mad. So it's like a weird feeling type of trade. Like you don't want to be mad. I mean, you want to be mad, but you can't be too mad because you did gain something. Because, I mean, quite frankly, if you think about Anthony Davis, like he's actually excluding the injuries, he's actually having a really good year. Like he started off the year hot, but typical Anthony Davis fashion, he gets hurt. He gets hurt a lot or whatever. So So,
doing this in 2019, trading Lamar Jackson after his first MVP for J.J. Watt, first round pick, when J.J. Watt's in Houston about to fall apart.
Right. So that was probably the best I could came up. But I did see online someone said like trading like Jamar Chase for Mike Evans.
Another good one.
Yeah.
That's another good one. All right.
So,
NFL awards, obviously, some of these are already coming out. We know the Offensive Rookie of the Year was Jaden Daniels. I don't think either of us really disagree with that.
No, I mean, you know, I thought about my boy Brian Thomas Jr., but facts.
He's like fourth on the list for me.
Fourth on the list? Who's above him?
Behind Jaden Daniels, behind Brock Bowers, behind Bo Nix.
Bo Nix,
that team had no business being in the playoffs.
You're right; they did make it to the playoffs. So, all right, that's debatable.
And quarterback is a high profile position. It's not like I just threw Drake May out there or anything. I think he's comfortably behind Daniels and Bowers, and then you have him versus Bo Nix, and I'll take Bo Nix.
I got BTJ over Bo Nix, but that's a good list. I'm cool with that.
But we're gonna run down these awards, and then maybe next week we'll see how good we did. I only did the top ones. I'm not gonna get into the assistant of the year, which went to Ben Johnson. But let's get right into it. John, who was your coach of the year this year?
Kevin O'Connell. He was my coach of the year.
Why?
I mean, you look at Minnesota in the beginning of the season, like you wouldn't have thought they would have did what they did this season. Although they did, fall apart in the postseason, they had a really good season. I mean, you talk about quarterbacks being injured in the beginning of the season. They got rid of Kirk Cousins in the offseason. Not that Kirk Cousins was a savior, but honestly, I don't think anybody predicted Minnesota to have a season like they had. Like at one point in the season, you would have thought Minnesota could possibly have gone to the big game, to the Super Bowl at one point in the season. They did fall apart, and Sam Darnold did turn back into Sam Darnold on parts of the season, and of course the postseason as well. But I mean, just to work with that team, to have them as one of the powerhouse teams in NFL, I got to go with Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, I like that pick. Just to go different because I was considering both these guys. You chose one, so I'll chose the other. I'll throw in Dan Quinn.
Oh yeah.
Nobody expected the Commanders to do this, going from second round pick to conference championship. So yeah, Dan Quinn gets a lot of credit for turning that team around. So
absolutely,
you took my 1A. I'll put in my 1B. Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. That was a great call out.
And I didn't expect him to have a good run period with the Commanders. I'm like, Dan Quinn, this is gonna be a disaster. But
for sure.
Worked out, and he's gonna be there for a pretty long time, it seems. Comeback player of the year, John. Who was your comeback player of the year?
Joe Burrow. Got to give it to Joe Burrow. I mean, the year that Joe Burrow had, he had an amazing year. And not to say that you didn't think he would, but just the numbers he put up. I mean, Joe Burrow threw for almost 5,000 passing yards, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He was lighting it up.
MVP level numbers, yeah.
And MVP level numbers. So you see why he gets paid the big bucks. Joe Burrow definitely delivered. I mean, at one point the Bengals, they start off the season very rocky, but they almost got into the playoffs towards the back of Burrow. For sure. So definitely got to go with Joe Burrow.
You took my 1A. I'll take this. He wasn't 1B, but this was my number 2. The nominees, for the record, was Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, J.K. Dobbins, Christian Gonzalez, and who will always be a nominee, Damar Hamlin. I'll put in Christian Gonzalez. Right, since you took Burrow, I'll put in Christian Gonzalez. Had a great year. He was probably a top 5 corner in the league this year.
Oh, for sure.
Really quiet. You didn't get a lot of love. You didn't get the all-pro team because the Patriots didn't play a lot of primetime games. Didn't get in front of a lot of eyes. But Gonzo had a great year. For sure.
I saw him make an amazing play, and the player still made the catch, and I want to say Brian Thomas Jr. when we played y'all in London, the deep ball that Trevor Lawrence threw to him, like Christian Gonzalez, like I didn't even know it was Gonzalez at the time because I'm watching Brian Thomas Jr. and he made a catch. Like the defense was like couldn't get any better. And that goes to show both of them are like elite athletes or whatever. But I was like, damn, that was some great defense. And he still caught the ball. So I was just amazed. I was like, oh shit, that's Christian Gonzalez. That's why it was like
up Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, for sure.
In that game where we got our ass kicked. But Gonzo versus Harrison was blanketed. He had like one catch.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's definitely
Offensive Rookie of the Year was Jaden Daniels. Won't even debate it, won't even discuss it. You give them that award, no problem.
Oh, for sure.
Defensive Rookies of the Year. The nominees were Cooper DeJean, Braden Fisk, Quinyon Johnson, Chop Robinson, and Jared Verse. You like anybody particularly?
I like Jared Verse.
I'm with you.
You with me?
Yep.
Hey, listen, Jared Verse is an impact player. Just like the games that I watched him play, like this dude was everywhere on the field. Just the impact that he brings as a player. He's going to be a superstar in this league.
The Rams had two pass rushers on this list between Fisk and Verse.
Oh, okay.
They rebuilt their pass rush in one off season.
Oh, wow. But yeah, definitely going Jared Verse. I see him doing big things in LA.
For sure. What did I put next on the list? Offensive Player of the Year. I'll go first. The nominees were Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson. The Offensive Player of the Year usually goes to a not quarterback because the MVP always goes to a quarterback. We all know this. We all understand this. Let's move on. I'll put Saquon Barkley there.
Saquon. I mean, that's too easy.
Saquon. I'm just writing this down so we can track it.
That's the way I had it.
Defensive Player of the Year. The nominees were Zach Bond, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Patrick Surtain, and TJ Watt. Obviously, Myles Garrett requested a trade earlier this week. TJ Watt was in trade rumors before they shot those down and said, yeah, actually, we're going to extend him. I'm not sure how any of these guys did because I don't watch a lot of football that isn't the Patriots. But I'll just put in Myles Garrett. Why not?
I actually went different
than anybody on this list.
Yeah, Patrick Surtain.
Oh, he was on the list.
Yeah, he was on the list. Yeah. I went with him. He was shut down all year. When I look at
the corner to win those awards.
It is. It is hard for them to win, but I think just what's that?
Do you know who the last one was?
Who was it?
If I'm not mistaken, it was Stephon Gilmore with us in 2019.
Oh wow, it's been that long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to be a defensive lineman.
Those guys who rack up sacks, yeah.
Oh, for sure. But I like Pat Surtain. I think he had a great year. He was shut down, 4 picks. He had a really great year. But I feel like he'll either go to Watt or Myles Garrett.
All right, MVP. I wonder if we're going to differ on this. So let's just.
Can I go first?
I'm going to count down, and we're going to say it at the same time.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Josh
Allen. Gotta go with this. So that's what I'm talking about. Listen, I had to really think about this. So
I thought we were gonna have a knuckle drag out about Allen versus Jackson.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, Lamar Jackson numbers were jump off the page. He had great numbers, but when you think about the impact a player brings as a team, the lead a team, most valuable player. Again, we talk about the Buffalo Bills. They lost a lot of key pieces in the offseason.
This was supposed to be a retooling year. Yeah.
Exactly. Josh Allen takes over games. That's what MVPs do. That's what leaders do. So, like, I thought about that more than the numbers. Obviously, Lamar Jackson had a great year when we talk about everything that he does and with the touchdowns that he's thrown and ran. But you think about what Josh Allen, the impact that he brings as a player and lead his team to a team that you didn't even think that would even make it to the playoffs with so many.
No, the Bills play in a cupcake division. They were going to make the playoffs.
I don't know. I didn't think they were going to have the season like they did. So anyhow,
no, the season like they did, that's one thing. But they were always going to make the playoffs.
I wouldn't have been surprised if they didn't make the playoffs, but they did.
In that division with those three losers?
I thought Miami would have been solid.
You're still falling for the fool's good, Miami. Okay, that explains it.
But
no wonder you like Liam Cohen.
but anyhow, yeah, I'm definitely going with Josh Allen.
I'm right there with you for all the reasons you said. All right.
If the honors wasn't the way that it was in regards to Offensive Player of the Year, then I would put Lamar Jackson in Offensive Player of the Year. But of course, that's more catered towards the receivers and running backs. So
because the MVP never goes to them.
Exactly. So
like this would be the year to do it. Like no, last year there was like no really good MVPs. Like Lamar Jackson's numbers weren't awesome. Mahomes' numbers weren't awesome. Josh Allen's numbers weren't awesome. Like if Saquon had the year he had this year last year, he probably would have won it.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. I definitely agree with that.
He didn't get out of New York fast enough to get that MVP award. Not with two great quarterback seasons and then Joe Burrow. All right, the Super Bowl is this Sunday in New Orleans. Was that wider than how Liam Cohen said Duval?
No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
All right. Down in New Orleans.
I think it was the look. I think it was how he said it, and I think the look.
Yeah, it was the weird
turn. It was just like he wasn't like secure.
It was so forced.
It was horrible. That was horrible. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Listen, man, I don't know how you don't feel uneasy about that.
Whatever.
God's love to you for sure. Super Bowl is this Sunday in New Orleans. The Eagles and the Chiefs. A lot of people are loathing this matchup, but I'm like, this is a really good Super Bowl. Like the two best teams in football made it, hands down. Just because you don't like them doesn't mean this isn't a good game. So the Chiefs are 1.5 point favorites. The over/under is at 48.5. You can bet on the Eagles plus 100 if you're stupid. John, who you got in this game? What are the things you kind of look for? Give me the whole rundown.
So I said on the first time I came on the Foxboro Beat that I thought the Chiefs would be the Super Bowl favorites, and this was before the playoffs. And here we are, where the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl once again. I feel like the Chiefs will pull it off again. And here's the reason why. Andy Reid knows how to win, and he's going to find a way to win this game. I think it's going to be a tighter game. I mean, and you think about the first Super Bowl, the Chiefs in Arizona, that game was close because the Eagles were up on that game. I think this game will be similar to that game, but the Chiefs will find a way. They find ways to win. The big piece of that game is you got to stop Saquon Barkley. Obviously, got to stop him. I feel like they have the ingredients to not necessarily stop him, but he's not going to go crazy like he did against Washington. And even Jalen Hurts. I feel like Jalen Hurts, the Chiefs have the defense that can contain him somewhat. Jalen Hurts is still going to make great plays, but I feel like the Chiefs have that defense to contain him a little bit or whatever. But anyhow, I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. I think it will come down to the last 2 minutes.
That's where the game really opens up. It's really a slugfest in the first 3 quarters, and the fourth quarter things open up.
For sure, but I got the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs pulling it off, 3-peating.
You got a final score?
Sheesh. I didn't come up with a score. I gotta think about that one.
Yeah. So while you think about that, I have another question for you. I'm a Patriots fan, right? The Chiefs are on the verge of doing something that not even the Patriots could do. Winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. They went to 3 Super Bowls in a row. Beating the Falcons, losing to the Eagles, beating the Rams. Didn't make it to that third one in 2005 after winning 2 in a row. I think we lost in like the divisional round against the Broncos or something. Mm-hmm. So with all that in mind, who do you think I'm rooting for?
I don't know. You got a little hater in you, and you probably will be a little upset to see a 3-peater because the Patriots never done that before. So I think you root for the Eagles.
Wrong again.
All right, hey, listen, I underestimated you. My bad.
Listen, man, there's one thing that I hate more than, giving Philadelphia a win. And that's Patriots fans being absolute crybabies about everything. I mean, you look at my page, Foxboro Beat, right? You ever read those comment sections? Those people are annoying as all hell. Like, go look at the Chiefs post that I made that said, "Oh yeah, no, Mahomes is on the verge of doing something not even Brady could do." Their legacies are forever going to be compared. They're forever going to be intertwined. Mahomes, I don't think he'll need 7 to beat Brady. Andy Reid doesn't need to have 6 Super Bowls to beat Belichick. And in my mind, in a lot of ways, Kelsey's already surpassed Gronk. And Patriots fans just get so emotional and annoying and combative when you dare suggest that this Chiefs dynasty be compared to the Patriots. I'm like, they're on pace to win more championships than we did in a shorter window. Wow. This is going to be their 4th if they win.
Wow.
Their 5th appearance in 6 years or something crazy. Their 5th in 7 years or something. It's something crazy. And half the time, they have more than half of the championships we do if they win on Sunday. And both of us believe that they will for all the same reasons. Mahomes, Reid, they have that don't bet against them like Brady and Bill did. And they pull out wins. They find ways to win. That's what happens. This isn't the NFL rigging it for the Chiefs. This isn't they have the refs in the pockets. This isn't the refs being incompetent, which we all agree that reffing is bad. But at the same time, it's never really been any better. Like it's largely been the same throughout my life, and I would think your life as well. Like, calls are missed. It happens. The Patriots were the beneficiaries of good calls every now and then. Truly, they were. I don't need to say Miles Jack.
Oh my God! Don't even bring that up.
I don't even need to say it. But it's true. The Patriots had good fortunes. So do the Chiefs. That's what happens. That's pro football. The Eagles are a talented football team. Would I be shocked if they won? No, probably not. But they have a great quarterback. They have the greatest quarterback in the league right now. They have the greatest coach in the league right now. They have the greatest tight end in the league right now who finds ways to get open and make plays. He's not that volume guy he was 2, 3, 4 years ago. But are there many people that you would depend on in a must-have situation more than Travis Kelce?
Not necessarily.
No. Like, you're not going to feed the ball to him 20 times, but on 3rd down, and I got to have it, who on that Chiefs offense are you looking towards first as a quarterback?
Hopkins. No, I'm just messing with you, Kelsey.
Hopkins, I forget he's on that team. He was a sneaky ad.
That was a great ad. I think you can't sleep on Hopkins. He's still got a lot left in the tank.
I think this game is going to be one. It's going to be crazy in the trenches. Both these teams, great D lines, great O lines, both sides. Yeah, the Chiefs have a guy named Joe Tooney who used to play here. He might be the greatest offensive lineman of all time. The way that he can move between tackle and guard, he already has he won 2 or 3 Super Bowls here, and he's won 2, 3, maybe 4. He's with Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Like that dude has had one of the greatest careers ever. So I think this game's gonna be crazy in the trenches, but in those gotta have it situations, I trust Mahomes more than I trust Hurts. I trust Reid more than I trust Sirianni.
For sure.
I just think that's how that game's gonna go. I think it's gonna be very similar to the game that we saw in Arizona. Maybe not as high scoring. So I'll take the Chiefs 28-24.
So let me tell you. I was looking at the score.
ranting and raving. Yep.
No, I was definitely listening to you, but I was like, damn, what's the score going to be? I said 30. Then I came up with a score. I said it's going to be close. I said 38-35.
That's a high scoring game, John.
That was the exact score of when they played each other in the 38-35. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
I don't know. The Chiefs offense, it's not explosive, it's efficient. I think if the Eagles get out ahead early, I think I could totally see that, and where it becomes kind of a shooting match. But I think this game is going to be really, really dependent on the trenches. I don't know if Saquon's going to have like those 90-yard runs.
Mm-mm. He's not.
But listen, I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles won. But like, how do you in your heart of hearts think that the Eagles are going to beat the Chiefs? How do you in your heart of hearts think that? How do you talk yourself into that? You know,
A lot of people think it.
I think it's a lot of bitterness towards the Chiefs, which I don't have. I don't hate the Chiefs, truly. I like Mahomes. I
like
like
Mahomes.
I like Kelsey. I think he's kind of a twerp. I think he's kind of a douche, but like he's a good player. And then how do you hate Andy Reid?
He's a great player. And again, yes, how can you hate Andy Reid? How can you hate Big Red? It's a great coach.
What's your Super Bowl tradition? What do you do?
I mean, honestly, nothing, man. Just drink some beer, watch some football, pretty much. Yeah, I don't really
parties, no.
I used to throw parties like 10 years ago, but now I'm at home. If I'm not getting invited to anywhere, then I'm at home watching the game. Maybe grab some wings or something.
So you're saying you weren't cool enough for the invite?
I haven't got invited in a while, to be honest, but because I used to throw the Super Bowl party, so my tradition the last 10 years is watching it on TV. To be honest,
damn,
at my place.
Me too.
So,
what's your drink choice?
Bud Light.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Am I?
Okay. All right. I mean, Bud Light, or maybe like some Crown Royal on the side or something like that.
I'm a big Crown and Coke guy. I like my JD too.
You talking my language. You talking my language now. I have a bonus question for you. We're talking about the Super Bowl. What will be the first song that Kendrick Lamar performs?
I'm not a Kendrick guy.
I mean, this is actually people are making bets about everything. So this is actually on, I don't know, the website where you can bet which will be the first song that he performs.
Yeah, super insane bets. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that song he plays first. DNA probably.
DNA. Hey, that's a good one. I can see DNA.
I think he performed that in LA. I think that was one of the songs he played in LA.
I can see him perform.
Maybe turn the TV, like stuff off the new record, which I only heard one song off the new record because I thought it was interesting when I was going through. I'm not a Kendrick guy, John. I'm not like a Drake super fan either. Like I like Drake more as an artist, but like I've never liked Kendrick. Like I just like, it's not like a hater. It's just like I never got into his music. It's just not my jam.
But so
I'll throw on like a Nickelback concert during it or something.
I think that was a good call. I could definitely see him performing DNA. I think the biggest thing in a Super Bowl for him is he going to perform Not Like Us. But
he is. At this point, it's been confirmed that he is. It's just like, do the lawyers want to censor it so they can't get sued or all this other stuff? It's just it's been a year, folks. Let's move on.
Yeah,
let's find other stuff to do. Planes are falling out of the sky, and we're talking about how Kendrick is gonna perform Not Like Us and call Drake a pedophile in front of the biggest TV audience of the year.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't really care. Never been a big Kendrick guy. My dream halftime show happened. I saw Eminem at the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I'm like, yeah, never gonna get better than this.
That was the Super Bowl with Snoop and Dre, right?
Yeah, in LA. Kendrick was there too.
And 50 was there too. Yeah, all right, I remember that.
50 was fat as shit.
Yeah, he was when he was upside down.
50 Cent turned into a whole $1.
Right.
All right, John. We've approached an hour and a half. About my mark. I like the hour and a half mark.
All right.
Any words for the fine people at home as we close this one out?
Hey, we're about to conclude the NFL season. This has been a great season, and hopefully we get a great Super Bowl to end the season, and hopefully you have me back on the show so we can talk some more football. I know you're gonna have me back. There's no hopefully. You got to bring me back. We got to talk some more.
All right. Yeah. So my plan next week for the show is I will have Ryan back. We'll wrap up the the Patriots coaching staffs and whatnot, and we'll talk about the things we're looking forward to this offseason. We'll wrap up the Super Bowl, and we'll probably take a couple of weeks from talking football and give us a breather. Come back after the combine, and through the offseason and whatnot, we'll figure something out for you, John. We'll find a role.
I'm cool with that.
What do you do for the draft?
Sit in front of the TV and watch the draft until my team gets picked, and then I'm not watching no more. That's pretty much it.
You don't want to hop on a stream with me for a couple of hours?
Hey, I'm down. I'm down.
Because listen, I don't know if Ryan's gonna be on for a whole stream of the draft, and it's a yearly tradition for me to come on this camera and go over every pick.
Oh yeah, I'm down.
Not every pick, but the first 2 days I do, and then the last day I'm like, all right, my voice is done.
I think the first 2 rounds, I'm good. Well, the first round, which is the first day or whatever. So yeah, I'll definitely jump on with you.
All right, there we go. There we have it. We have my co-host for the 2025 NFL Draft.
Yes, sir.
Am picking number 4. Where do the Jags pick?
We are number 5.
Look at that. We're gonna get right into me celebrating or dreading at 4, and then we're gonna get right into you celebrating and dreading at 5. It'll be great.
We'll see. Already have my thoughts on that, but we'll definitely see.
All right, John. Thanks for coming on, and thank you, the listener, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and be on the lookout next week for when me and Ryan come back, and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Foxboro BeatCast. Make sure you like and subscribe, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.